Every year during the draft cycle, you see guys that win based off of athleticism. They get by on it, it's what they've got going for them, and it can help mask a wide variety of deficiencies in their game. So I can understand where when it comes to Taven Bryan from Florida, that I had people tweeting at me and commenting about it, talking about how they thought I would really like this guy as a prospect because of the athleticism that the guy has, the explosive athleticism that the guy has. And again, it comes down to the thing of people thinking I might see Aaron Donald in him. Again, please, 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 please. Not every interior lineman under 300 pounds should be compared to Aaron Donald. This must stop. I mean, again, this must stop. Because Taven Bryan in no way, shape, or form is Aaron Donald as a prospect. And also, when you get a white defensive lineman with some athleticism, let's not automatically just compare him to J.J. Watt, okay? It's not an appropriate comparison every time. Rarely is it actually an appropriate comparison. We should be really careful about when we just compare this dude, that dude, and every other damn dude to the best at what they do. Can we agree to that one? All right, anyways. Well, looking at Taven Bryan. I see the athletic upside because he's got, similar to Maurice Hurst, incredibly explosive quickness, a great first step. He's a great natural athlete, and you just see that on the football field. Again, similar to Hurst. They're very, very similar in that way to me. I might even give a slight edge here to Taven Bryan as being even a little bit more athletic than Hurst. What I like about him better than Hurst is he is a stronger player and he plays stronger. He had 30 reps in the bench at the combine, and that shows on film. While at times it doesn't always manifest as much as I'd like, you can see it at times. There's flashes, there's bursts there that the dude with that great strength and that great quickness can be unblockable. But it's just how often do you see it? I see a guy with very nice upside potentially as a pass rusher. He can jump that blocker with that explosive first step. He can shoot the gap. He's got that body control to be able to contort his upper frame and slide in between tight spaces. He can dip his shoulder, get low. He can get and bend around the interior blocker or sometimes the outside blocker as well. Even though he needs work in terms of a variety of pass rush moves, talk about that initial burst in quickness and that strength, you feel like it's a guy that could be a productive rusher of the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball, whether it's as a 3 technique or as a 5 technique, depending on the defensive scheme that you run. He's a guy that plays pretty hard on a pretty consistent basis. Really, really like that about him. I like guys that put forth effort. I like guys that fight hard. I like guys that fight to get off blocks, that play to and sometimes through the whistle, because those are the guys that I want in my locker room. Those are the guys that I feel can help cultivate a winning, never say never, never die type of attitude. So he's got those things going for him. Here's the problem. First, I look at him. He's really tall, but not massive. Talking about what, 6'4", 6'5", 290 to 95 pounds, somewhere in there is his playing weight. Does that really strike you as somebody that can get low and be an effective interior rusher as a 3 technique in the NFL? I don't know about that. Like, I look at Taven Bryan, and I feel like he's almost suited to be a power base end left end in a 4-3 or a 5 technique in a 3-4 than he does as an interior lineman. And I think a lot of NFL teams would probably agree with me. I don't know if the NFL draft community and the scouting community on the internet necessarily agrees with me, but that's what I see. I see a guy that is restricted to either being a bigger base end, an athletic base end in a 4-3, or having to be a 5 technique in a 3-4. I don't know that he can play on the interior of the line. I know he's a big dude, but he's not very big this way. He's just tall. And he's not incredibly long, so I really worry about a guy like him, tall, not very long, with a lack of technique. He could just get absolutely engulfed in the interior of the line. He struggles to anchor and hold the ground against the run. That was where I was talking about where he's strong naturally, and you can see that power at times. I'd love to see it more as a run defender. He struggles to hold his ground. The real concern for him that manifests in a lot of places is his lack of awareness. Like, he just isn't a natural, instinctual football player. And I know he's pretty raw, and there is a ton of upside there. But you always have to be concerned about guys that aren't very instinctual players, that struggle to anticipate, that struggle to read plays, locate the football. Because sometimes that's a feel thing. Sometimes that can be helped through film study. Sometimes that can be helped with experience. And sometimes guys just don't have it. And they will never have it. And therefore, you worry about how much you can actually trust them on the field, how you'd be able to deploy them, and are they going to get fooled and look crazy all the time? Like, he looks more like an athlete than a football player, and that's the reality of it. You can see where that athleticism translates, but you see enough concerns in terms of just how lacking his technique is. Like, he gets into his stance, and as soon as the snap, he fires off, but he has a really bad habit of getting up really high in his stance right away. He gets caught sideways too often, even though he can contort his body and shoot the gap. He tries to do it too often, I think, to compensate for that lack of hand usage, that lack of overall technique and leverage, and as a result, he can get caught sideways and he get pushed around, which shouldn't happen for a guy that's this strong. And again, you're talking about a guy like him, you want him to be able to set the edge. Well, he could potentially do it from a physical standpoint, but if he can't read and recognize the play, he's going to be all over the place. He's going to get fooled like crazy on misdirection runs. He's going to get himself out of position and fail to set the edge, and you saw that at Florida in 2017. So there are real concerns with him. Now, I look at him, and I feel like there could be a wide array of opinions on him. Like, you'll have some people maybe have him middle to late first-round type of talent, and other people might have him as a third-round talent. And I get all of that. I look at him, and I feel like he's a second-round type of guy. There's a chance, because of his size and his athleticism, that he's going to go at the tail end of round one. A team like Atlanta kind of leaps out as somebody that might be interested in him because of the way that they would utilize their defensive linemen. And they maybe would line him up in different places. And that might work. But to me, there is, yes, upside, but there is a lot of risk here and a long ways to go for a guy like him, I feel like, to be a really consistent, reliable football player at the NFL level. Too much risk at this point to me to put a first-round grade on him. So I've got a second-round grade on him. That's where I feel more comfortable taking him if I'm a team. But I won't be surprised on Thursday, April 26th, if he hears his name called at the end of round one.